Gibbs, how do you attack DB Fire 2 on defense?
Sure.
So the vaunted DB Fire 2, a very popular defense. You got a couple options, right?
Sure.
You could pick up the pressure,
yep.
or you can not pick up, or you can choose not to pick it up, but then you got to get the ball out.
Yeah. So let's first go over the variety of what makes it kind of good.
Okay.
So come out into gun snags first. I think that's fine.
Okay.
Because we'll show you how to beat it from there. And because the play we're going to use, one of the plays go down is keep going down is the Bronco seam. The play we just broke down.
Okay.
It's a great way to attack it. So what makes this play effective is you have the outside slot DBs, they're blitzing inside, and then what you're seeing a lot of people do, they pinch the line, they like to crash the line out, and then they bring a blitzing inside linebacker, and then they hover. They hover over a lineman here. And what ends up happening is you create like a six-man overload blitz, and then they drop directly over the middle of the field and take away like quick reach.
Drag or something like that, yeah.
Unless you're a poised player, unless you understand where to go with the ball, snapping the ball, you throw it, there's no one like open, and the pressure screams at you. And now the flats are covered, I got a quick user over the middle of the field, and if you're not really ready for it, it can be really difficult. Now, what also makes it really difficult to defend against is if you get a coverage out of it. So if you get the following, where people will do the vaunted crossman, right? So it looks something like this, that you get the crossman coverage, and then maybe you get a spy and hover on.
Right, and then I block the halfback because I've had enough,
Yep.
and then I've got only routes going downfield. Nobody's really open. Kind of got to roll. Kind of got to make a play. Kind of waiting. He sent the spy. Now I'm in trouble. Now I just chuck it down across the field.
Correct.
Right.
So that's the part of what makes it so difficult to defend. And then let's not forget, like you can easily find ways, especially against spread sets, to get good pressure by only sending 4 guys off an edge. So like I can still play a kind of a hybrid crossman, I can play coverage style, and your halfback went out to run, and now I had pressure that came in through from the middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And so that's where it can be difficult. You can do a lot of things off of it, but what I would say, there's a couple different ways to look at it. So if you know you're going to get the gas, you're getting the gas, which is where they're sending all 6 and they hover here. When you see your opponent hover, your first thought should be, I need to attack a snap throw seam. Like it should be a vertical to green or a vertical to brown. Mm-hmm. So by default, this Bronco seam play has a great route to A that gets to a really difficult spot. Like it's really tough for me to get there. I went back there. You even threw that a little late, but it's really hard for me to get there. And now the problem is that if you combo that and you streak green this time, like I don't have any idea where you're going, and I go here, now you go back to the green. That snap high point pass is your best friend against that send a 6-man style blitz.
Yep.
Like you send the 6-man, you should be snap throwing it.
So you like quick
spot.
throws rather than saying, hey, I'm going to block Bell, I'm going to motion over Brian, I'm going to snap him behind the line, and I'm going to look for a drag.
You can do that, but that route is a seam buster.
Right.
The whole purpose of it is to stretch that area of the field, and if I'm like, what's the number 1 rule when you blitz, right? What's the number 1 rule? Like
throw to the area that they're blitzing from.
Throw the area they're blitzing from. Well, where am I blitzing from? I'm blitzing from the slot. That slot is not covered because I'm blitzing that defender. And now my user defender, it's a different story. If I was able to send this blitz right here and do
not have to hover.
And not have to hover, then I would be able to sit on both these streaks and take it away based off of like feel. Like you actually couldn't there. But then that would open up a drag because you could throw underneath me, right? So it's a cat and mouse of it. But I think that making your opponent have to do, because like what they're going to then do, and you see it, is like even against crossman, if they get the snap off quick enough, it's really difficult with the crossman. Like you could still snap throw those, like you would go to Brown in that instance, but you could still snap throw those and have them work against crossman. So then what ends up happening is they then have to man up in the actual area if they're going to play coverage like that. But then you run drags off that because they're going to get open because they're not being cross-man. So a lot of it is understanding what they want to do. And like if you know they want to send 6, look for the seams. If you know they're going to cross-man you can still kind of look for the seams. If you know that they're going to man up the guy directly in front of them, you run the drags. You run the other play where you drag green, you put X on an in, and that's how you then attack it. But it's like getting a feel and a rhythm for it. That would be my step 1 of how to attack it is look to the seams.
Yep.
Now step 2, we've actually talked about this quite a bit before. So if I were to do the same setup here, where I send this blitz. Now do this for me. You can stay in this play. I want you to do a delayed slant to Rodgers.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is I want you to put Bell on a quick out. That's what I want. Bell on a quick out. So the delayed slant, but where you want to throw is you want to throw to Bell.
Okay.
You want to get the ball to Bell. So I'm going to drop back. I got to get back here. Got to get back here. That's the route, and then break. Truck a guy.
Well, and that's one of the reasons, you were showing why it was so effective. Like, another reason that this defense is very effective is even though we got the ball out to Bell and he's an elite halfback, and he's going against, a poor corner, that right there could be Night Train Lane. That right there could be Mel Blount. That right there could be a guy with 90-plus hit power.
Correct.
Whereas if they were really going to put a safety there, like a strong safety, they're going to put Sean Taylor there, or they're going to put Landon Collins there, all their other coverage could be compromised in zones, but because those CBs are built for that squat roll, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're getting popped every time you actually get the ball out right there.
Right.
That's a hit stick.
Right. This is a way to, and the other thing is if you put Bell on an out or in this time, it should give you a little bit more room. Put him on an in. He might get caught up in the mud a little bit, but it should get to a tender area where that seam is open, right? So there it is again. Pressure was picked up. That's the idea. You could even flare Bell. Try flare and Bell. That should be fine. So if you flare Bell,
right.
Snap of the ball.
One other thing too is say I
you should be able to hit him for yards in the flat.
Right, and say I flat these two and I want blocking. I want to make my own screen pass.
Right.
It just doesn't adapt itself to that, because that's another way you could get people out of that defense, but that's going to be a hit. That's going to end up being a Mel Blount hit stick,
Right, but this is a way to alleviate it. That's why it's step 2. Flare Bell, put Rodgers on the delayed slant. The delayed slant is a very good read against the cover 2 beater, because he's going to get the delayed power is going to get him inside that slant, inside that zone. So he runs it delayed. Hopefully the pressure comes in quick.
Yeah.
So but that's where the seam comes into play from there. Now the other thing I think is a really great way to attack these is, it's because it's in soft squat, is you want to throw table routes. Now table routes are going to force your opponent's hand. That's why people like corner strikes so much. So if you go to gun bunch and go to corner strike, what's good about this is you're going to force your opponent's hand, right? So if I were to play this defense here, you should be able to throw. I didn't change anything.
Okay.
I'm still in soft squats. I'm going to get good pressure, but you should be able to throw that. And the idea is to, wow, he's actually working there.
He's doing crazy.
The idea is that you're trying to get 3 to 4 yards.
Right.
You're not anticipating throwing that ball and getting 10 yards off of it, but you need to have it to be an annoyance. Get the ball out, break a tackle, make a play. Now, the flip side of that is if they're worried about that, if they're truly worried about that, they're going to clamp down, play a hard flat.
Right.
And then that can open up the corner behind it.
If you get
the time.
If you get the time.
Right.
Yeah.
It's time in the pocket. He opens up behind it. Boom. But I would say the number one thing you want to focus on is throwing those seam streaks.
So would you say this other Z-spot setup, the right is good there? Would you do this? Or would you put Brown on a delayed motion slant?
Yeah, you would. So I would drag green. I'd streak Rodgers, and and Rodgers becomes your quick throw.
Okay.
Just hold, throw it to Rodgers, and slant. See how he drifts?
Yeah.
Good from that. The last thing I would say is that if you can find dragging routes out of the backfield to your halfback, killer.
Yeah.
Probably the best option.
Yeah, there's a good one
out
here.
Of the backfield. So if you go gun 2 back, there's a gun.
They got this slot cross in.
Sure, that's definitely good.
Or you want it going across?
Yeah, that will work. But if you go, I don't know if that's actually, I don't know if you went and looked at the play. But if you go to gun snugs,
don't break my heart and tell me that play doesn't work well.
I'm not sure. I don't believe it is. I've done experiments.
I know. I figured that would be a known thing,
Drive halfback drag.
Okay.
Let me see it. Yeah, so that's the idea of the drag.
That's a great route, yeah.
So that is you have to do other hot routes to make this play effective, but the idea is that the dragging route to the halfback, he gets out crisp, and with me having to worry about defending those guys, that route is so tender and is very effective against these blitzes. So I would say find those routes in your playbook. What's rule number 1? Go to the slot streaks. Rule number 2, throw to the dragging route out of the backfield to the halfback. Because here's what you're going to get, right? When you get this route out of the backfield to the halfback, if I were to bail on it, if I'm I got to defend it, and I want to send pressure, you can throw the seams.
Gotcha.
Because I have to stay on it.
Right.
If I were to drop back and play coverage, it's the same idea as we were talking about as the hot routed, the in and out, but you get it in such a tender area. Like it gets out there quicker. It's much better.
I like it. Let's see.
So if I drop back here,
yeah.
I couldn't even get there because I'm hovering.
Excellent, excellent. Good stuff. That is the Broncos playbook right there. A little help beating that DB Fire 2, some options that you have in your lineup to beat this popular defense. Hopefully it helps you out. Let us know any questions that you have. I see your chat. And let us know if you guys have more mailbag questions. We've got another